Señor Cooler.
Hello, I'm Brogan Brainstorm, and this is my recap of Sony's E3 2015 press conference. So let me just get this out of the way as quick as possible. Last Guardian. It's still happening. They have stuff out for it now. Final Fantasy VII, the remake, is happening and is out now. I don't believe it. I almost fainted. I just went catatonic in my seat when I was so shocked by it. I wasn't even paying attention to the trailers. But I'll discuss everything at length in due time. They also just royally screwed up their ending with Uncharted. I'll get to that too. The other thing that really impressed about Sony's conference is that for the briefest of moments, for the duration of that presentation, you forgot the PS Vita was dying. Screw that, it's dead. It's a good system, from what I hear. I kind of want one too. But it's dead. Sony doesn't do anything with it anymore. It's over. And I will buy one when they off it Dreamcast style and reduce the price. In a move that I did not see, none of this I was really expecting, really. But they started off with The Last Guardian. They finally have new footage. It's definitely more polished, it's more up-to-date with next-gen technology. And it's coming 2016. And Ueda is still attached to the project. That's the game's creator, the mastermind, their head over all of it. And so there were rumors that he wasn't connected with the project, or that there were problems, and that as a result the game might not be happening, but it's happening and he's still attached to it. That was a very bold way to open. At first, I was thinking that would be the best way to end it. It would be like to create a running joke of sorts, where the conference just goes on business as usual, and then at the very last second, after they're done with Uncharted 4, then they go, actually, we do have one more thing. That's kind of the running theme with all these conferences, is they don't have surprise endings. They don't. At all. They start with a thing you'd never expect, and they end with the thing you knew was going to happen. But I really think if Sony wanted to master this, they would have saved the surprise reveal for the end. There were rumors that Final Fantasy VII was going to happen. It wasn't confirmed. I don't think. But there were rumors it was going to happen. But The Last Guardian came out of nowhere, I think. Or maybe we were just so tired of anticipating it and guessing that it would happen that it blew us by surprise when it actually did. I think overall, the theme of this press conference of Sony's is that they had the best announcements possible. They had everything working in their favor. All of it was on a silver platter. Pure gold. And they screwed it up with the way they organized it and presented it. That is what happened. They announced everything that you wanted. All of it and more. Things you didn't even know you wanted. Things you didn't even think were possible anymore. And then they screwed it up because they just kind of fumbled it. They fumbled the reveals. I'd like to talk more about Last Guardian, but there isn't really that much to say other than it's happening. It's mainly just more gameplay of... It's more of what we've seen before, but just better. They're mainly just wandering around these ruins, and they're both kind of cooperating. that's pretty much it. But man, what a shock. What a shock. And so immediately following Next Guardian, they announced a new IP, which is Horizon Zero Dawn. That looked pretty impressive, too. It's basically, from what I could gather from the trailer, it's like the post-apocalypse, and you're in the wilderness, and you're playing a female protagonist that is like a wild hunter. It's kind of like future barbarians of sorts, and she is narrating Bastion style, and she's also being hunted by these giant, or humanity in general is being hunted by these giant Metal Gear style robots that are very animalistic, and she hunts and catches them and survives, and that it looked really impressive just from what little they showed us. We also have a new Hitman game. It's called Hitman. What's the rest? We're not, I don't know, whatever. What's the rest? There is no rest. Last I saw. Last I checked. Maybe they've announced it since, but it's just called Hitman. And I'm like, are you rebooting it? Why? You don't reboot something that's just doing fine. Absolution did exactly what we thought it would. It played out exactly like we thought, and people kind of liked it. I don't get it. But it looked like a good trailer. Then there's Street Fighter V. I'll probably not play that at all, just because I'm not very good at multiplayer fighting games. I usually just get owned instantly. And that's increasingly becoming what's happening in this day and age. You just, oh yeah, you might be good in single player, but once you go online, you get owned. That's just how it's going to be, so I probably won't buy it. So then after that, but so far I'm going, okay, so we got Last Guardian, a new IP that looks cool, we got a new Hitman that looks cool, a new Street Fighter that looks cool, and then they do No Man's Sky, and I'm like, you're just doing everything we want you to, Sony. So No Man's Sky is and so they released a lot more gameplay for it, and this game just keeps looking better and better and better as things go on, as more is seen. You might be thinking they're overpromising. You might think that it might not turn out, that it's heavily scripted, but according to the developer, he just went to a random planet that he had never seen before, and just did his thing there. And so I'm like, and he also said that I've seen planets that look better and I've seen planets that look worse. And I'm like, that's exactly what you should do in a procedurally generated world. You know, in a procedurally generated world demo. You go, I've seen better, I've seen worse. I'm like, that makes sense. So they seem to be doing the right thing with that. I was with Skype with a lot of my coworkers on GameSpresso, and some of them like had never seen this or heard this stuff before. Like they never heard of Last Guardian, or at least didn't realize it was connected to Shadow of the Colossus, or they didn't see No Man's Sky last year. Some of them, this was even their first E3, but they were blown away by it too. So it's No Man's Sky. I can't wait for it to come to PC, or I can't wait to get a PS4. I'm not sure which. I might know by the end of all this. And then they had Firewatch, which I'd seen trailers of before, but when I saw the trailer that came before this Firewatch, I wasn't really sold on the game at all. I'm like, okay, so I'm like, only you can prevent forest fires? Like, I'm like, okay, it looks good, but it doesn't look interesting. So I cut down trees or moved the earth to prevent fires or stuff or whatever. I don't know, man. But in this one, they kind of revealed more of the story, and they kind of went with more of what I thought I would see, and it's now starting to look good. So I might check that out too. Destiny, don't care. New Destiny expansions. I'm like, I heard it was okay, but You're starting a new franchise, and it's Bungie, and you know what? The early reviews have just turned me off to the game, and now I'm sick of seeing or hearing about it at all. I just want it to die, basically. But some people, as I learned from my coworkers, some people still want to see it succeed. They still are playing it even. So I'm like, okay, I don't know why you would do that, but okay. And so then we have Assassin's Creed Syndicate, which is pretty similar in that, and I go, okay, I don't know why you stick with this franchise, but it keeps going. But Syndicate actually looked really good. It looked a lot better than Unity did before we realized Unity was broken. Then we have the world of Final Fantasy, which looks like chibi Final Fantasy. It looks alright. Looks better than Lightning Returns did. I almost completely forgot about World of Final Fantasy when they showed the Final Fantasy VII remake. First Last Guardian and now this. I'm falling out of my chair almost. I'm like, what is Sony's knocking it out of the park. Final Fantasy VII. Well, what are they going to show at the Square conference now? Probably that, I would hope. Everyone just got their minds blown when that happened. You don't need me to tell you why Final Fantasy VII is a big deal. If you're watching E3, you know why Final Fantasy VII Remake is a big deal. With the 7 Remake and The Last Guardian, some of these have just been talked to death so much by people waiting and speculating of giving the reasons why it would be great. How many times since The Last Guardian's been announced, have people really given light and promoted Shadow of the Colossus and recommended it? That's one of the reasons why SOTC has reemerged as now a beloved classic rather than a cult classic. It's that after Last Guardian, after Last Guardian wasn't coming out and nothing was happening with that, people were going, well, here's Shadow of the Colossus. This is why we're excited for this. And with 7, Square teased us real bad not too long ago by pretending that they were gonna do it, and then they trolled us, and then it's just releasing it on Steam. These projects are both finally happening. It's unbelievable. Following Final Fantasy VII Remake, we had an indie developer montage. And so, I'm like, I didn't catch a single thing that was happening in that developer montage. I didn't catch anything. Because everyone was still reeling from 7 Remake. But all eyes turned back to the screen when they announced Shenmue 3. Never thought you'd see that again, right? Shenmue 3? Really? Well, yeah. And it was weird because they were promoting the Kickstarter. They weren't saying they're making the game. They're saying they were promoting the Kickstarter. And it instantly filled up to like 2 million following the conference's end. Which is really weird. I'm like, if you're going to the trouble of promoting Shenmue 3, why don't you just fund it and make it yourself? I suppose it's to prove to Sony that people are interested in Shenmue 3, because it could just easily be announcing Shenmue 3 and then no one cares. Because they go, I don't remember that, it was obscure. I don't know anything about Shenmue 3, but I know that the fans are really devoted. About as devoted, if not more, as I am to like games like .hack. So by now that's happening. I'm sure they've reached whatever goal they had. And so then we had Arkham Knight, and it was a trailer showing the Joker's cremation. I've never seen a character that iconic get killed off in a trailer at E3. It's unheard of, but that's what the fans want to see. Weirdly enough. In fact, someone was saying, like, hey, wait, Joker might not be dead. And I stopped them right there. I'm like, don't even tell me about Clayface. Don't even start with that. Don't you start with me, boy. I really doubt that they would show that trailer and then bring Joker back. I think that's the nail in the coffin of Joker. And so then they had Project Morpheus and television. And this whole... In fairness, Sony did a lot better than Microsoft did with their VR. Sony didn't try to show us it. They were just kind of... Sony didn't try to demo it and try to show us what it's like. I think there might be some booths over at E3 that do show it for all these companies, but they just kind of showed up on the screen a little bit of the concept of it being around someone's face, what it looks like, and all that. The VR stuff is the new fad. It's the new motion technology, but it's a fad. It's a new fad that's just coming out. It's just like 3D. It's just like motion controls. It's a fad. For now. But unlike motion controls, and unlike 3D, VR could go places. Not anytime soon. Not at all. But one day, VR can go places. 3D will never go anywhere, because we have VR now, and motion controls will always be too expensive to be accurate, as we've seen. The Kinect is dead, after all. Sony did television stuff. Remember, we're still reeling from Final Fantasy VII Remake and The Last Guardian, so our eyes are just kind of glazing over at this point. And then we had Call of Duty Black Ops 3, which was surreal because that's usually what Microsoft does, but Sony got it this year. Sony stole them away. And so then we have the ending montage, and so I'm like, okay, so it started with our Last Guardian, then No Man's Sky, then 7, and then an ending montage, and then Call of Duty Black Ops 3, and then they're doing their ending montage. Xbox did this too in their conference, I think. It was them or someone else. But they're doing an ending montage, and I'm like, okay, well, that was pretty stupid and disoriented. And then when that was over, they kept going and they started new stuff, and I'm like, what is happening? So then they start talking about Disney Infinity 3.0. And again, I'm not even registering any of this because they're mainly doing Star Wars stuff with it. And I'm not even registering with this because I am so baffled at how completely disorganized this conference is. And how wrong they got it. And how wrong they got the presentation. I'm like, you put The Last Guardian first, then 7 Remake in the middle, and then you follow 7 Remake up with anything? You can't follow Final Fantasy VII Remake. There's nothing that can follow that. No act will be good enough. Even something as anticipated as Shenmue or whatever. No, what are you doing? And then they kept going, and then they showed campaign footage for Star Wars Battlefront, which is nice because I think it was EA. It was EA that showed multiplayer footage. And now Sony's showing campaign footage from the single player. And then we have another ending trailer montage thing. And I'm like, why are you showing this again? What are you doing? And then like sometimes it stopped in the middle of the trailer to like show us like more than just a little bit, but like keep going with some like other titles. And like, it's a stop and go kind of montage trailer. And then we closed out with Uncharted 4. And I knew that they would close out with Uncharted 4 once I realized that what had happened up until now. And so they said, we want to show you a title, and here it is. And then it showed from Sony Computer Entertainment, and it just stayed on that screen forever. And it just stayed there. and nothing was happening. And I instantly knew, and I typed it out, and I'm not usually one to swear lightly, but I typed it out. The trailer fucking crashed. I could not believe it. The trailer would not load for their big finale. And then, when it finally did, I'm facepalming. And I'm going, what is wrong with you? So then they showed some footage of Drake. It was mainly just a cutscene. It's not just like a montage footage. It was a cutscene. And then it opened up to gameplay of Drake being in like this Indiana Jones style Middle Eastern market or whatever. Like in Raiders of the Lost Ark. And so we're now in gameplay. It's kind of obvious. And Drake is just standing there. And he's just standing there. Doing nothing. And then it all restarted. The trailer and the demo crashed, and they had to restart it all over again. At this point, I am laughing and falling out of my chair. I have lost it. What the hell is happening? They fucked it all up. At that point, I can't believe that they messed it all up. That with the best possible announcements any company could possibly have at E3, the only thing they missed out was Persona 5. And some of the people I was talking with, they were disappointed that they didn't show that, but they had everything. Everything going for them. They're king of the hill. Now they've got what the fans want. Last Guardian and 7 Remake and stuff as new as No Man's Sky and as old blood as Shenmue 3. And new stuff like Horizon Zero Dawn. They had everything. And they screwed it up. But still, it's one of those things where just the weight of the stuff they've announced carries whatever issues they had. Sony probably just won E3. I think Bethesda did a better performance. Bethesda worked with what they had and they just made it shine like no one else could have. But just the weight of the stuff here. This is probably the best E3 ever. There probably won't ever be anything like this. There's not really anything that is so fondly remembered and nostalgic about that's really left. That hasn't been going on. We've been asking for 7 Remake and Last Guardian for years. Years! And now we finally got it. And I'm like, I really can't think of anything else that people still demand to happen. Not counting stuff that's from Nintendo, I can't think of anything else out there that needs to be so desperately revived that isn't being revived. Banjo-Kazooie's being revived with ukulele, or however you pronounce it. Star Wars Battlefront's being revived. It may not be how we want it to be, but it's being revived. Battletoads is cold, but you see what I mean? This is... You're never going to see anything like this that's so hotly anticipated and widely anticipated for a very long time. But yeah. So that's happening.